Bisa tugas.
Webinar.
Lagi?
Iya. Iya.
Masuk kita langsung.
Enggak jam 10.
Masuk kawasan ngono ya.
Iya, kawasan apa-apa. Nah, biasa. Enggak, aku masuk ketok.
Kamu Krisin kok gondol mana sih? Halo Mama Krisin. Nggak kedengeran suaranya ya? Mama Krisin. Mama Krisin. Jelas suara saya?
Jelas, Bu.
Oh ya, makasih. Sehat-sehat kan, Bu?
Alhamdulillah, saya makan dulu. Ya, Ibu nanti dimulai jam 10 ya?
Iya. Ya, that's right.
Ya, Bu. Siap.
Makasih.
Belum.
Iki harus ngono ya ngono. Tapi ya udah ada masalah.
Halo Pak Muklisin. Ya, Pak.
Halo,
ini
ya, Bu.
ini
Yes.
menginformasikan kalau kita
Yes.
sudah live di YouTube ya Pak ya.
Oh, nggih.
Nggih. Maksud
Saya matikan anunya apa?
Nggih. Kalau misalkan tidak diperlukan dimatikan dulu ya.
Nggih.
Terima kasih. Halo, tes. Tes. Halo, tes.
Bisa. Kan. Bentar. Masukin semua Bu ya. Yang inti dulu ya. Iya. Iya. Bentar Bu. Kita masukin semua ya. Ya. Oke. Sudah sabar kok, koneksi bro. Telepon Prof.
Bahasa Inggris ya.
Coba.
Aku
Ya.
maksudnya yang mana?
Ya, tak masukin ini, tak masukin ini. Direktur tak masukin aja, tak matikan aja. Itu ya. Direktur tak masukin. Oke.
Suaranya belum ada. Sudah masuk, Bu. Zoom-nya sudah bisa nggak masuk? Ini sudah mulai iklannya sudah. Ya. Tapi suaranya nggak ada ya, Bu Rosi?
Nggak ada, mungkin pakai ini Bu di ini.
Ini saya sudah pakai speaker tapi nggak ada suaranya.
Iya. Unlimited.
Suaranya nggak ada ya.
Nggak ada suaranya, Mbak. Selamat pagi, Bu Rektor. Selamat pagi, Bu Rektor.
Selamat pagi. Sekarang jelas suara. Tadi nggak ada suaranya.
Suara saya jelas, Bu Rektor?
Jelas. Tadi nggak ada yang tadi nggak dengar sama sekali. Sekarang udah
Oh,
jelas.
ya. Terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama.
Can we start?
Selamat
Good
datang,
morning.
Bu Rektor.
Pagi. Good morning.
Good morning, selamat pagi Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati dan para mahasiswa yang saya kasihi. Welcome to webinar at English Education Study Program Uniro Tuban with the theme Empowering Teachers and Students with Digital Literacy. My name is Christina Panggabean, the English lecturer at Uniro Tuban. I will be the moderator for this webinar today. Based on our list, there are 443 participants who have registered to this webinar coming from different parts of Indonesia. Thank you for your participation. There are 3 presenters in this webinar, Bapak Muhammad Muklisin MPD, Ibu Dr. Risa Triasanti MPD, and Melissa Lin Liftinger. Selama menyimak jalannya acara, mohon mikrofon Bapak Ibu dalam kondisi mute. Mikrofon dapat di-unmute untuk mengajukan pertanyaan setelah dipersilakan moderator. Before we listen to the presentation, the Rector of Uniro Tuban, Ibu Profesor Dr. Supiana Dian Nurcahyani MKes, will give her opening speech for this webinar. Kami persilakan kepada yang terhormat Profesor Dian untuk menyampaikan pidato pembukaan dan sekalian membuka acara webinar ini. Silakan Bu Dian.
Thank you, Miss Christine. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dean of FKIP, Head of English Study Program, keynote speaker and invite speaker, and all webinar participants who we respect. Thank God with us still given to opportunity and head so that they can take part in the webinar with organization by English Study Program. In the mid COVID-19 pandemic and the new era and the new normal era, UNERO remained active and productive to always contribute positively to society. The era digitalization has now become a domain, and the new normal era to student and teacher must be able to optimize existing competence to take advantage of digital literacy and should be smart so that they can use digital literacy as online media. We convey our highest gratitude and appreciation for the implementation of the webinar this with the Bismillahirrahmanirrahim webinar on the topic empowering study and teacher with digital literacy. I open it and begin to thank you for all your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Bu Dian untuk pembukaan webinar hari ini. Kiranya webinar ini akan bisa berjalan lancar dari awal sampai akhir. Terima kasih, Prof.
Thank you.
Bapak, Ibu, dan para mahasiswa peserta webinar, kita akan memulai presentasi dari 3 penyaji. Jika ada pertanyaan, Bapak Ibu bisa menyampaikannya di kolom chat. Apa pertanyaannya dan untuk siapa? Yang nanti akan kami memilih pertanyaan untuk dijawab oleh penyaji setelah ketiga penyaji menyampaikan paparannya. Baiklah, untuk presentasi pertama akan disampaikan oleh Bapak Muhammad Muklisin MPD dengan topik Creating Awesome Video. Before Pak Muklisin start his presentation, I will let you know some information about him. He was born in Tuban and now live in Malang. He got his S1 in English education from IKIP PGRI Tuban, now called Uniro Tuban, and his master degree in English education from Universitas Negeri Malang. At present, he teaches at SMK Negeri 4 Malang. He has a lot of experiences to present his ideas in workshop, especially related to media. Okay, now Pak Muklisin, are you ready for the presentation?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, time is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Nice to see you.
Wabarakatuh.
Okay, Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Nice to see you here and welcome to Fun Online Workshop. And today we are going to discuss about creating awesome learning video, learning video through handphone, via handphone only. So we have to use only handphone. Okay, now check this out first. I would like to share first. Wait a minute. Okay, creating awesome learning video via handphone. And today, here is the main menu. Introduction, editing and uploading, and then closing. Okay, let's check it out. Introduction, why video and the tips in creating video. Why video? Mengapa sih kita harus membuat video pembelajaran? We are teaching Gen Z who has visual technology, innovation, concrete, and critical. Jadi kita di sini semuanya rata-rata mengajar generasi Z yang semuanya sudah mobile generation. Jadi mereka dilahirkan sekitar tahun 1995 sampai 2015 dan hampir semuanya mereka pasti memegang HP-nya masing-masing. So kita juga harus membuat video pembelajaran. Also teacher is facilitator seperti dahulu guru menyuruh dan juga memberikan suatu bahkan mengajarkan sampai bisa dan secara detail. Sekarang guru hanya sebagai fasilitator, hanya mengarahkan saja dan yang student center. Jadi siswa lah yang nantinya akan aktif. Also ketika ada wabah corona, maka semua pembelajaran harus jauh ya. So, kita juga harus bisa membuat media yang bisa dilakukan secara daring. Oleh karena itu, kita harus membuat video. Kenapa video? Karena videonya adalah technological audio visual. Jadi video ini berbasis audio video yang bisa dipilih sama siswa dan bisa diulang-ulang. Ini juga membantu teachers to explain and innovation teaching. Jadi ini juga bisa membantu guru untuk menjelaskan secara real. Berarti sesuatu yang bisa dikembangkan, sesuatu yang bisa dikembangkan. Itulah video. So, teachers must create their new learning video.
Sin, suaranya putus-putus.
Halo?
Suaranya
Suaranya
putus-putus.
putus-putus.
Iya.
Iya Pak, suaranya putus-putus, nggak kedengeran nih Pak.
Ya, masih putus-putus.
Putus.
Iya.
Halo?
Halo?
Kalau suaranya Bu
Halo?
Christine jelas, suaranya Pak Asin masih putus-putus Pak.
1, 2, 3.
Masih putus-putus.
1. Tadi enggak putus-putus ya?
Ya, ini udah mulai jelas.
Halo?
Ya, sudah mulai jelas.
Sudah jelas?
Ya.
Tadi sama TV sama saya. Jadi sinyalnya hilang. Sudah bagus? Halo?
Ya,
1, 2.
ya. Ya, sudah mulai bagus. Silakan Pak, lanjutkan.
Okay, now tips in creating video. I'm so sorry. Technical problem.
Masih kemersek Pak, putus-putus, nggak jelas Pak.
Halo, halo.
Iya masih putus-putus suaranya.
Masih bisa terus?
Iya dari Tuban masih putus-putus Pak.
Coba tidak dengar. Halo, 1, 2. Masih bisa terus?
Ini putus-putus lagi ini.
Oh, sebentar.
Coba nggak usah pakai speaker.
Coba saya halo, masih terus.
Iya. Headsetnya dicopot mungkin.
Bentar Ibu, saya pakai dengan satunya Ibu. Saya pakai video padahal.
Masih putus juga.
Masih putus-putus.
Masih enggak kedengaran suaranya.
Coba bicara lagi, Pak. Cak Sin. Halo.
Cak Sin masih cari sinyal, Bu Christine.
Iya.
Kalau suaranya Bu Christine jelas sekali.
Oh iya, terima kasih.
Kalau Cak Sin
Pak
masih
Imam
putus-
juga jelas. Jelas banget.
Cak Sin ada di rumah ya? Hilang gambarnya. Halo? Pak Muklisin. Are you still online?
So do I.
Kalau Bulis suaranya renyah Bulis, kelihatan jelas.
Bulastri je Bulis.
Bulastri.
Halo.
Halo.
Pak Imam.
Ini
Halo.
alumni
Ya.
Uniro banyak yang hadir.
Iya,
Jauh banyak Bu, banyak. Ini Pak Nowonya
saya
ada.
alumni 87, Bu.
Oh ya, good. Yang
Saya
lain,
dapat- Saya 88 Bu.
oh ya Imam, saya ingat. I remember you.
Oke, thank you.
Ya,
Do you
gimana?
remember me, Bu Christine?
Siapa? Oh, Sulastri ya?
Okay.
Yeah. Where do you teach now?
I teach at SMPN 5 Tuban.
So Pak Muin used to be there, ya?
Yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you too.
Cak Sin sudah masuk?
Tes 1.
Silahkan.
Technical problem. Halo.
Ya, udah jelas, Pak. Lanjutkan.
Mohon maaf tadi saya ganti jaringan.
Oh ya.
Sudah jelas, Ibu?
Sudah jelas.
Sudah, Pak. Sudah.
Oke, alhamdulillah. Mohon maaf teknis. Ini saya kebetulan ada di Tuban, Ibu. Lagi pulang.
Oh ya.
Ya, soalnya mulai Lebaran belum pulang.
So you are in Tuban right now, ya?
Yes.
Okay, you can go on your presentation, please.
Misalkan saya share screen, kalau masih berat, screen-nya dari sana aja, Ibu. Suara halo tes. Can you hear me?
Ya, bisa. Mbak.
Oke,
Ya.
tips in creating videos. Jelas, Ibu? Halo?
Agak putus
Oke.
sedikit.
Masih putus-putus, Pak.
Suaranya masih putus-putus, Pak.
Masih putus-putus, Pak, suaranya.
Ya, suaranya masih putus-putus. Cak Sin, suaranya masih putus-putus.
Share screen dari sana bisa, Ibu?
Share screen.
Ya, share screen dari kemarin saya kasih videonya.
Ya, nanti kita coba ya.
Kayak
Admin
suaranya
lagi
putus,
mencoba.
masih clear.
Silakan.
Dari situ.
Ya, kita akan coba share screen. Ya. Gimana yang lain? Sehat-sehat semua ya?
Ya. Alhamdulillah.
Yang workshop tahun lalu sudah dicoba belum?
Yang mana, Bu?
Yang
Sokratis.
Nggak ikut, Pak
Ya,
Imam.
Sokratis.
Oh, sudah saya share ke teman-teman juga semua.
Ya. Pak Imam udah jadi pakarnya ya.
Pakar itu. Lapornya, Bu, Pak Imam, Bu.
Ya. Ini screen-nya udah kelihatan ya?
Sudah, Bu, sudah.
Silakan, kamu Krisin.
Halo, diperbesar, Ibu.
Diperbesar. Dibesarkan.
Halo, tes.
Ya, sudah. Tunggu sebentar ya. Pak Muklisin sejak kapan sudah di Tuban?
Kemarin, Ibu.
Oh, kemarin ya. Sekarang di mana?
Sekarang di Mertua.
Oh, di daerah mana itu?
Malang, Bu.
Mana?
Malang.
Oh,
Panyuran.
Malang, Panyuran, dekat dari Uniro kan? Ya.
Sinyalnya kata tombak itu.
Di Malang enak ya.
Diambil ombak.
Iya.
Di Malang ini.
Ya.
Sudah Bu, di share screen.
Proses. Sudah terlihat?
Sudah Bu, sudah terlihat Bu.
Oke. Silakan Pak Muklisin. Slide yang nomor berapa ini?
Oke, creating awesome. Sudah next.
Ya, bisa dilanjutkan.
Oke, preparation. Intro dulu. Oke, tips in creating video. Full screen aja Ibu. Oke. Useful tips to create videos. Ini ketika kita membuat video ajar, usahakan ada eye-catching atau kontennya itu harus menarik. Dan juga efek komunikasinya harus efektif dan mudah dimengerti oleh siswa. Implement humorous word which is in trend nowadays among students. Jadi ini juga kata-kata kita bisa tidak harus bahasa Inggris semuanya, bisa dialihkan pakai. Yang penting siswa itu paham dan juga mengerti. Apalagi senang tambah mantap. Buat juga kata-katanya itu dengan kata-kata yang singkat, padat, berisi. Make sure to master the content and do some practice. Dan jangan lupa sebelum rekaman kita harus paham dulu materi yang diajarkan. Dan jangan lupa adalah lightingnya. Kita harus tahu di mana tempatnya agar pencahayaannya itu bagus. Dan yang paling penting di sini adalah record your video horizontally. Jadi harus tidur atau modelan sekap. Karena untuk di YouTube kita bisa pakai itu. Alangkah baiknya kita pakai tripod dan juga mikrofon. Next. And now preparation. Persiapan sebelum kita membuat video ajar. Kita ada tool, software, and media. Yuk langsung aja kita ke tool. Nah, yang perlu diperhatikan adalah dan paling penting ini adalah handphone. Kita harus punya HP. Kalau enggak ada HP ya enggak bisa. Dan yang penting lagi adalah dua ini yaitu kain. Kain bisa 3 sampai 4 meter. Bisa juga tidak harus hijau. Bisa yang penting satu warna. Jadi ini bisa dipakai untuk background kita mengganti background di belakang. Biasanya orang-orang kalau di belakangnya pakai video bagus, itu karena di belakangnya ada layar yang bisa diganti satu warna, yaitu green screen. Nanti fiturnya pakai chroma key. On clip microphone, itu juga perlu. Dan audio splitter ini untuk audio kita ketika rekaman biar keras. Dan yang terakhir adalah tripod kita gunakan agar rekaman tidak goyang-goyang. Kita bisa menggunakan ini meskipun kita sendiri. Saya juga pakai seperti ini. Oke, next. Aplikasi yang diperlukan. Aplikasi apa saja yang diperlukan adalah yang pertama ini KineMaster. KineMaster ini bisa di-download via library saya. Ini KineMaster adalah paling bagus sekali dan jarang nge-lag. Dan juga animated text kita gunakan untuk teks di awal. Jadi pembukaan judul dan juga di akhir untuk penutupan. And now PowerPoint. PowerPoint ini kita gunakan nanti untuk menjelaskan materi dan direkam menggunakan screen recorder. Dan YouTube untuk upload setelah selesai semuanya diupload di YouTube, dan YouTube Studio ini kita gunakan untuk mengeditnya. Dan semuanya aplikasi ini bisa diunduh melalui Play Store. Oke, next. Media or video content. Ini yang harus tahapan-tahapannya adalah yang pertama adalah kita bikin title of the video. Jadi kita pakai animated text yang tadi. Kemudian opening speech ini kita pakai pembukaan menyapa anak. Kenapa harus disapa? Biar anak itu merasa diperhatikan, ada sentuhan hati. Kemudian explanation-nya pakai PowerPoint. And next closing speech kita juga membuat penutup, rekaman penutup, dan diakhiri dengan closing, yaitu pakai animated text. Dan pastikan the content are well prepared before editing process in KineMaster. Jadi semuanya harus sudah selesai, bahan-bahannya baru diedit di KineMaster. Begitu. Next. Next, Ibu. Oke. And now go to editing and uploading process. Di sini editingnya pakai KineMaster, untuk uploadingnya pakai YouTube. Oke, now editing process. Editing process. Klik editing process. In this editing process we use KineMaster Pro. Jadi tidak harus Pro, meskipun KineMaster biasa, it's okay. From Play Store and then get and download the application. Ini pakai saya kalau mau. And now, next, open KineMaster. Setelah selesai, di-download, kemudian silakan KineMaster-nya dibuka dan di-download semua fitur-fitur yang ada, termasuk assist audio, video, dan sebagainya. Kenapa? Karena biar nanti bisa enak langsung dipakai. And kalau sudah, tinggal ngedit. Make sure you know where you put the raw video. Jadi kita harus tahu letaknya di mana, biasanya di galeri. Kemudian kita ditaruh di situ, kita edit satu per satu. Nanti semua tutorial sudah saya sediakan. Next. After editing the raw video, setelah diedit semuanya itu, jangan lupa ada background videonya. Pakai nanti di KineMaster, di tutorial ada. Kemudian juga disesuaikan volumenya. Pakai audio ya. Jadi audionya juga dipakai lagi. Setelah yang insert audio. Next. Setelah dikasih video belakangnya, sekarang saatnya untuk mengasih audio. Sekarang proses upload. Setelah semuanya diedit, saatnya untuk di-upload. Nah, jangan lupa sebelum di-upload itu diekspor dulu, dipilih videonya. Di situ sudah ada, nanti akan digambarnya. Semakin bagus, semakin besar juga RAM-nya atau memori yang dibutuhkan. Jadi pakai yang 720. Ya, pakai 720. Nantinya yang bitrate-nya 30 itu ada di sistem ekspornya. And now uploading videos, uploading process. Next. Well, now before uploading the video, make sure you have a Google account. Nah, karena pakai YouTube maka harus punya Google account untuk channelnya. Kemudian jangan lupa dikasih nama yang bagus. Jika belum punya YouTube, silakan channelnya dikasih nama yang bagus. Karena apa? Biar lebih enak dipakai untuk menjelaskan ke siswa dan juga diingat. Oke, next. Thumbnail-nya. Jika sudah selesai, jangan lupa diganti thumbnail. Thumbnail itu tampilan awal video. Tampilan awal video itu biar keren, kita harus edit pakai ini dan juga bisa membuat thumbnail via KineMaster juga. Okay, next. Well, now sudah siap kan untuk bikin video? Sebelumnya, sesuatu yang penting adalah in creating is you need to have a good commitment and effort. Jadi kita harus punya komitmen bahwa kita memang harus buat khusus untuk siswa. Jadi tujuan kita adalah bisa untuk siswa, bisa membuat siswa lebih paham, dan jangan lupa we do not because we want to have lots of frame of subscribers. Jadi kita tidak membuat video ini yang sudah diupload tidak semata-mata untuk cari subscriber, tapi untuk siswa kita. Biar apa? Niatnya kita lebih bagus. So keep up the spirit. Oke, saya kembalikan kepada Ibu Christine. Halo Ibu, thank you for helping me.
Oh ya, terima kasih Pak Muklisin, sangat menarik, tapi agak challenging juga ya.
Iya.
Persiapannya perlu waktu kan? Ya, perlu waktu ya. Tapi ini tantangan buat guru untuk bisa membuat video ya. Nanti untuk detailnya akan disampaikan pada saat workshop. Ya.
Yes, tutorial lengkap nanti Bu. Don't worry, be happy.
Oke, thank you Pak Muklisin. Untuk pertanyaan bisa dibuat di chat ya, teman-teman audiens semua. Jika ada pertanyaan bisa ketik di chat. Ya, I'm sure the participant here will try to create their own video ya, so that the student will be happy in learning English. Selanjutnya kita akan menuju ke presenter kedua, yaitu Dr. Risa Triasanti, MPD. She will present a topic, designing effective online evaluation using quizzes. Bu Risa was born in Tuban and lived in Tuban too. Yeah. For her educational background, she holds her S1 degree in English education, magister degree and doctorate degree in language education and literature from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. At present, she is the lecturer at Uniro Tuban in English study program. She has written some articles published in journals, proceeding, and has contributed her knowledge and skill in some activities in community service in Tuban. Now we invite Bu Risa to present her topic. Time is yours, Bu Risa.
Thank you, Mrs. Christina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is it clear there? Ya, apa kabar Bapak Ibu semuanya? Ada mahasiswa, ada alumni, Bapak Ibu guru, dosen. Semoga masih tetap semangat ya di masa pandemi ini untuk always create something new, challenging ya, for our students. Nah, kita sudah mengikuti tadi materi membuat bahan ajar berupa video, dijelaskan secara singkat, nanti akan dilanjutkan di workshop. And now let's move to my topic, that is how to create online evaluation, how to design effective online evaluation. And before that, I would like to know what kind of evaluation that you have used so far. Can you write on your chat? Okay, do you use GFs, Google Forms, or Socrative, or maybe Kahoot, and many more? But before we decide to use an application for our evaluation, we have to know, we have to consider whether the application is effective or not. And now I will share the criteria of effective evaluation. The first is the flexibility. So in this application, we can create on any media, on web browser, on Androids, or on any devices, on tablets, on laptop, on HP. And it also gives the chance for the student to access on their cell phone. And the second is feedback. So we have to make sure that the application can give direct or indirect feedback, or the answer and the description of the answer while they are applying the quiz or after they do the evaluation. So they not only answer and don't know what is the answer actually, yeah, but we have to provide the feedback, especially the explanation of the answers. And the next is the exposition of the ability of the student. So here we can show the grade or the rank of the student who have done the quiz. So the application have show who is the first, the second, or the third, and they will compete to do the evaluation. That's challenging for them and also motivate the student more. And the next is grading accuracy. So sometimes we find an application that don't have accuracy on their grading. Nah, kadang skornya salah, kadang skornya betul, and then we have to make sure that their grading is accurate. And the next criteria is repeated opportunities. So the application have to give chance for the student to repeat many times, and the teacher can adjust whether they want the student to play once, twice, or 3 times, yeah, based on the evaluation rule. And also that is very important, we can store and reusing the application. We can save the application and other teachers can reuse, and also we can reuse evaluation that has been made by other examiners or other teacher. And the last is shuffling and randomizing. So it also important because to keep the student, yeah, from cheating, and we can shuffle the questions and also the answers. And from this criteria, that is one that is, I think the most important thing here is it's free. So we don't have to get premium features, yeah, by paying. Then I decide to choose quizzes, yeah, because it is self-paced learning tool that helps every student celebrate their achievements. Why? They can celebrate because it's fun and show them their rank. If they want to be the first, so they have to compete with their friends. Now let us know what can we do in quizzes. The first is play quiz. Here we can use quizzes to practice. For example, we want to practice grammar or other game that have been made by other players. And that we need here is to create quiz, of course, and then share the quiz to our favorite media like WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, and many others. And also we can copy the quiz, so it can be used again and reused by other examiner. And in quizzes, we can also print the quiz in a formal form. So we can use this as final evaluation or middle evaluation because the form is quite formal if we want to print. And then the last is fun, yeah, I think, to create flashcards. So The question one by one will be made in the form of card. Now let's move to why I choose quizzes. It is colorful, yeah, both colorful, fun, and it also can be serious like a test. Nah, so it has two forms. It is colorful like Kahoot, if you know Kahoot, and it can be serious like Socrative, if you have observed Socrative. And of course, I choose all features that are free because every teacher's like this, like me. Yeah. No restrictions on the number of quizzes participants. Can have up to 500 players in a single game. So for example, if we want to make like what is lomba ya, seperti lomba bahasa Inggris that have so many players, so we can use this application. And it can be played on any devices with browser, PCs, laptops, tablets, and smartphone. Yeah. And also, the student can access from their cell phone. But to create the quiz, we have to use web browsers on Android or desktop browsers. So especially for Chrome, yeah, we have to use Chrome, not internet, because many applications now use Chrome. And what should we need to prepare before using quizzes? The first, for the student, they can download on Play Store or App Store. That's only for join a quiz or play a quiz. And for the teacher to create quiz, they have to sign up using Google account. And also please install Chrome browser on your laptop and prepare the questions and answers but you can type directly on the application, but it will be faster if you have type on Word. And pictures that you need to upload as the description of the questions, and also the audio. So the type of questions is on picture, on text, picture, and audio. Okay, the important features in quizzes. The first is types of questions, the tools, the result, and how to share. The first type, if multiple choice, yeah, it's very popular for any application. So there are many choices for the student to choose. So they can only choose one correct answer. And the second is fill in the blank. So the question, there is a blank in the question. So it is not multiple choice. The student have to type their answer. And the next is checkbox. It's like checklist. So it provides more than one correct answer. So we have to provide, for example, 2 correct answers. And the poll is like survey. So it is very useful for me to do survey research. I use quizzes. So there are no correct answers, but they have to choose one or more answers. And the last is open-ended. Now, this type of question is like essay. So I usually use this for long questions like reading, because the limitation is about 1,000 characters. So it's quite long, yeah, only almost 1 page for the question. Biasanya essay saya menggunakan ini. And the tools is find quiz. If you want to find a quiz, your quiz or other quiz. And my quiz is your quiz that you have made, and create new quiz to create new quiz. And report is to know the result of the question that have been done by the students. And teleport is to copy to add question from other examiners. And then how to share the quiz? We can share to Google Classroom, Schoology, WhatsApp, Telegram, by link, yeah, Canvas. You can share directly. Okay, this is my last quotation. If you want to evaluate how your knowledge is applicable, translate to others. Okay, are you ready for the tutorial of quizzes? Now I will try to share how to make quizzes directly here. Oke, jadi saya sudah masuk karena saya sudah mempunyai akun. Jika belum mempunyai akun, maka bisa sign up lebih dahulu, kemudian memasukkan akunnya, diikuti sampai selesai, hanya sedikit ya, dan mudah sekali caranya untuk sign up atau register. You can use a teacher account ya to create quiz. Nah, yang pertama kita pilih untuk membuat quiz baru adalah create a new quiz. Kita tunggu ya, loadingnya lumayan ini. Nah, misalkan kita di sini practice or webinar ya, webinar quiznya. The language here English. Nah, karena yang kelihatan di sini biar cepat ya. Bisa bahasa Indonesia juga. And then next. Now let's choose multiple choice. Nah, example here the question. Nah, silakan diketik pertanyaannya. What bla 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 you do yesterday. Nah, yang gampang-gampang saja ya. Dan jawabannya di sini ada do, ada did, ada has, ada does. Nah, jawabannya yang mana? Do or did? Did. Oke. Nah, ini salah ya. Question. Oke. Nah, jika lebih dari 4 juga bisa add answer options. Kita bisa juga memberikan gambar di sini. Nah, kita lewati saja ya. Bisa juga audio ini langsung bisa direkam di sini. Kemudian standard, jika ini ada standarnya, kalau tidak usah. Kemudian waktu pengerjaan kita set bisa 30, terserah ya. Jadi kalau yang essay, biasanya saya membuat lebih panjang, misalkan 1 menit atau 2 menit. Kalau hanya multiple choice, 30 detik sudah cukup. Kemudian kita save. Nah, sekarang kita coba yang checkbox. Checkbox adalah list. What is your favorite fruit? Ya. Oh, what are? Karena lebih dari 1. Oke. Nah, misalkan mango. Papaya. Oke. And then apple. And then banana. Oke. Nah, ini siswa bisa memilih lebih dari 1 ya. Misalkan jawabannya ada mango, papaya. Nah, ini berarti nanti kalau mereka menjawab 2 ini berarti sudah betul. Nah, ini pertanyaannya bisa diganti ya. Misalkan buah apa yang warnanya hitam? Ada apa enggak? Ini 30 detik cukup, kita save. Oke, add new question. Ini kita coba yang fill in the blank. Nah, tampilan dari kuis yang sudah kita buat ada di samping sini. Nah, kalau tadi pilihan sekarang adalah isian. She is better now. Nah, ini kan mudah sekali ya. Jawabannya adalah playing. Nah, alternatifnya kalau misalkan ada, kalau tidak ada tidak usah ditulis. Jadi ini untuk menghindari penulisan yang berbeda sedikit. Nah, misalkan saya kasih huruf besar, mungkin ada yang menggunakan penulisan dengan huruf besar. Jadi aplikasi ini akan tetap membetulkan jika siswa menjawab playing atau playing yang menggunakan huruf besar. Nah, di sini adalah tampilan dari pertanyaan atau kuis yang muncul nanti di aplikasi. Mereka harus mengetik di sini. Nah, ini kadang-kadang yang aplikasi mungkin salah sedikit saja sudah salah. Nah, ini kita harus validasi sendiri. Oke, yang pertanyaan selanjutnya poll ya. Poll ini survei. Nah, ini survei bisa kita tulis pertanyaan di sini. Kemudian jawaban surveinya apa? Nah, polls are ungraded. They are marked as correct in the game reports. Nah, jadi ini tidak ada yang disalahkan. Semua dibetulkan. Oke. Cancel saja yang ini ya. Kemudian ini yang open ended. Nah, misalkan kita tulis di sini please write your last holiday story. Nah, misalkan. Oke, kemudian ini jawabannya bisa panjang sekali dan aplikasi ini juga tidak akan menyalahkan. Jadi semua dianggap betul, harus kita validasi sendiri. Nah, waktunya kita perpanjang karena essay ya. Misalkan 5 menit karena butuh untuk berpikir. Oke. Sudah semua. Nah, setelah itu bisa kita tambahkan dengan teleport. Teleport. Nah, ini bisa misalkan ini kuisnya orang lain, bisa kita pilih. Sebentar. Ini bisa kita add. Oke, jadi nanti akan muncul di kuis kita. Oke, setelah dan kita kisah semua. Oke, give the title. Gambarnya kalau ada English, grade-nya, ya, misalkan grade-nya university. Public. Nah, kalau untuk mau disimpan sendiri, kita private saja, enggak apa-apa. Kalau public ini, saya pilih yang public dulu ya. Oke. Save. Nah, setelah disimpan, maka ada dua pilihan di sini. Play live, jadi secara langsung akan dimainkan oleh siswa. Kemudian ada assign homework. Kita coba yang assign homework ya. Ini jadi ini learners should complete the quiz by ini jam 11. Ini tanggal 20 berarti sampai besok. Nah, ini ada advanced setting yang harus kita atur. Nah, ini student attempts. Ada berapa kali unlimited. Kan nomor 3. Nah, so answers in game. Ini apakah langsung ketika siswa mengerjakan kuis ditunjukkan apa tidak? Terserah, misalkan on. Kalau validate only itu berarti guru sendiri ya nanti yang memvalidasi atau mengoreksi. So answers post game. Nah, saya senang yang ini ya, so answers post game karena agar mereka tidak langsung mengetahui begitu ya. Jadi di akhir. Nah, ini powers up ini permainan. Jadi kalau bentuknya permainan itu ada bonus poin. Nah, kita hijaukan saja lah biar menarik kalau hanya untuk latihan. Tapi kalau untuk yang serius, tidak usah kita nyalakan. Karena skornya nanti akan berubah sesuai yang sudah disetting oleh aplikasi menjadi ribuan berapa begitu. Jadi membingungkan kita untuk memberi skor. Nah, timer, show leaderboard itu rankingnya ditunjukkan. Apakah kita shuffle question? Saya biasanya akan saya shuffle question, tapi kalau answers biasanya saya matikan. Redemption question. Nah, ini apakah mereka bisa mengerjakan ulang pertanyaan yang salah atau tidak? Terserah Bapak Ibu guru. Dan play music. Nah, ini pasti saya nyalakan karena biar semangat ya kan. So, memes ini gambar yang muncul. Oke, sudah. Kita continue. Nah. Oke, nah ini bisa di-share, share link ke Google Classroom langsung. Nah, ke sini semuanya ini nanti bisa langsung diekspor ke sini. Atau copy link. Nah, copy link ini yang nantinya akan kita copy ke Telegram, WhatsApp, dan lain-lainnya. Oke, nah untuk join siswa harus ini mengklik join my quizzes, kemudian memasukkan pin yang ada di sini. Oke, saya tunjukkan report sebentar. Kuis yang sudah saya dikerjakan oleh mahasiswa. Ini saya pakai contoh jurusan ekonomi ya. Waktu itu saya mengadakan kuis. Nah, ini bisa kita gunakan untuk analisis butir soal juga ya aplikasi ini. Nah, ini skornya. Nah, ini pertanyaannya kayaknya terlalu gampang ini ya. Betul semua ini. 95%, semuanya betul semua. Alhamdulillah. Nah, ini kemudian question. Nah, ini untuk mengetahui analisa butir soal. Yang mana yang soal paling sulit? Nah, ini yang betul 63%. Berarti lumayan mudah ya. Nah, ini rata-rata mereka betul semua. Ini 57%. Berarti tingkat kesulitannya rendah. Oke, nah demikian mungkin nanti bisa kita lanjutkan di workshop karena keterbatasan waktu. Thank you very much for joining. Semoga kita tetap semangat ya membuat evaluasi online karena Uniro juga sebentar lagi akan ada final test. Jadi saya sudah menggunakan ini. Karena Uniro juga sudah punya LMS sekarang ya sendiri. Launching nanti saya tinggal copy paste di web Uniro. Jadi jangan ragu ya untuk kuliah di Uniro. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bu Risa. It is very interesting and useful for us as teachers to try this app. Yeah. On the chat, I see that some audience and participants have tried to use these quizzes. Yeah. I hope that other teachers will try to do the same. Yeah, because this is interesting apps. Yeah, for teacher to try. Okay, thank you, Bu Risa. And next, we are going to our third presenter, Melissa Lynn Lichtinger. Good morning, Melissa. Are you there?
Good morning.
Oh, nice to meet you again.
Nice to see you again, too.
Okay. Melissa will present her experience in teaching online and the pros and cons of online teaching. First of all, I'll let you know some information of her CV. Melissa comes from USA, but now she works and stays in Kupang. She graduated from Pennsylvania State University in Science in International Business and in Marketing. She also has a TOEFL certification in English, of course. Melissa has a lot of experience in teaching English for students in secondary education and tertiary education, and a lot of experience as a teacher trainer. At present, she is teaching at English course in Kupang, NTT. Yeah, it's very far from Tuban, yeah. Yeah. Now we would be very happy to invite Melissa to share her experience in teaching online, the pros and cons. Please, Melissa.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I hope you are having a wonderful morning. Everyone do a
Halo.
big stretch. Yeah, stretch. I know you've been sitting for maybe an hour, right? So do a little stretch. No, I just want to say terima kasih banyak for having me today. I am so honored to be a part of this webinar. And the first thing I want to say is you're not alone, because every teacher is right now like, oh, what do I do? And really confused, right? You're learning new ways to teach, you're learning new skills, and so you're not alone. All of us are feeling the same way of just, how do I teach my students online? So I am going to share my presentation. Let me share my screen. Hopefully it will work. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can you see it?
Yes, man.
Yes, it's
Yes?
clear.
Okay. All right. So I hope you are ready to learn about a little bit of pros and cons, and also my experience with teaching online. If I'm going too fast, just tell me, slow down, because when I get excited, sometimes I talk a lot faster. So, as they have already mentioned, I am living in Kupang now, and I am teaching English at English First. Before I lived in Kupang, I lived in Tuban. So I lived in Tuban for 2 years, and I got to be a part of Uniro, and I taught at SMK Tembak Polio for 2 years. So I have a little bit of teaching experience with teaching offline in Indonesia, and now I am learning how to teach online, which is a very interesting challenge, but every day gets easier, right? So I first want to show you a little bit about my life before the corona, right? Before going online. So at English First, I teach from 3-year-olds until adults. They can be in their 60s. So I teach all different levels, from kids to adults. And it's very interesting because you have to teach many different ways, right? You can't teach 3-year-olds the same way you would teach adults. So later, if you have questions or a specific age that you're trying to learn tools with or what to do with, feel free to ask me, because I am right now teaching all levels of English. Now, I was teaching before offline, and now I'm teaching all levels online. So it's interesting to teach a little 3-year-old on the computer. And so at English First, one thing that's really cool is, as you can see in the one picture where we all have hats on, we also have cooking class. So I got to teach my students like how to make pizzas and things like that, which was fun to share a little bit of my culture with my students. So for me, one of my strengths as a teacher is my students' connection. The interaction with my students is what helps me to teach. So why is that so important to know now? Because I don't have that right now, right? Right now, if you're like me and one of your strengths is seeing your students every day, meeting them, learning with them, right now, you're all behind a computer screen. So it makes it really difficult if one of your strengths is now one of the weaknesses on how to teach. And so that is a struggle that I am going through. I have been teaching online now since March. And before teaching online, I had no experience at all, never taught online. And so just learning and growing is what has helped me to kind of feel more comfortable. But like I said, you're never alone. It doesn't matter how many years of teaching you've been how many years you've been teaching, this is a new experience for everyone. And but it's really important, and I will get to that when I get to the pros and cons. So this was my life before uh, the virus, and now this is what my life looks like now. Um, so I am teaching online, and you can see the ones with the little kids with the hat. Those are around 4 to 5-year-olds, and then the other ones where they're like writing tentacles. They are between 10 to 14-year-olds, and then the ones that are in the courtroom are between they're between middle school and high school. So there are different ages on this screen, and the some of the different ways that I teach my students is I have to adapt to them, right? Everything I do, I have to adapt to my students. And that's really difficult online because you have to find different skills, you have to find different tools. And so you might feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And that's me every day. And that's okay, because that means we're learning through our struggles. And so, for example, when I teach really, really young students, the main thing I focus on is getting them up, right? No kid ever wants to just sit down. So I'm always finding activities that they have to leave their computer for and then come back. Like I said, I'm not sure what age range everyone's teaching. So I will talk a little bit about each, and then later you can ask me more specific if I didn't really answer any questions that you had. So like little things with the kids, like I might say, depending on what they're learning, say they're learning colors, I could say, okay, go find something in your house that's blue. So they have to get up and run and then bring it to the computer. So with younger kids, I try to think, what topic am I learning? And then how can I make them go find it? Or just getting them out of their seat is what helps them to stay focused when I am teaching them. And then with the other kids, so middle school to like junior high, they're very competitive. So a lot of the times when I'm doing teaching, I put them in teams and to try to help. When they feel like it's a game, they're more interested. And I know some of you might be saying, well, I teach 40 students at one time, right? It's more difficult when you have a lot more students in one area. And that is true, right? And that's every person has a different struggle. And so if you're on teams, it can allow you to let kind of like the teams work together and be more competitive against each other, which might make it more exciting in the classroom. As a teacher, I have learned really well to read my students' faces. And so I can tell when they are not interested, right? Just as any teacher can offline, right? When your student's like this, or just like, you can tell they are not interested. And so online too, when I can tell that they're not interested, I ask them like, what do you want to do? And sometimes they might give me a suggestion like Hangman. I don't know if you know the game Hangman, where they have to guess the missing letters. And so I'm like, okay, we will play Hangman for 5 minutes. And then we would play Hangman and they like all excited. And then we go back to learning. Because for me, the classroom is not just my classroom, but it's the students' classroom too. And so if I feel like this is the way my students must learn, but they don't feel that they're learning from it, then as a teacher, I'm not really teaching, right? I'm just saying this is how they should do something, but not actually listening to my students. So yeah, I always give them, depending my classes, so if they're younger, the classes are 40 minutes. And then if they're older, they're 60 minutes. And then they have like a break after, and then they would continue learning from like somebody else. But just as in when I teach for 60 minutes at one time. And I know that many schools are doing things very different right now. Some are half days, some are 2 hours. So everything is very different between each teacher, between each school. But I would say if you could take maybe 5 minutes and just ask your students, what do you want to do? Or just do some kind of game, it helps them. They're kids, right? This is like a really weird time for adults, but even weirder for kids. They can't play with their friends. If they're an only child, they can't even play with anyone because they have no siblings. And so the students get really, really excited when they get to see each other because it might be the only time they get to see their friends. So allowing them when they first come in to kind of let them speak. At English First, they must speak all English. So in the classroom, they have to speak 100% English. But when I give them breaks, so halfway between the 60 minutes, I would give them a 3-minute break, depending on how long your class is, 3 to 5 minutes. And I allow my students to speak Bahasa. I tell them, like, you guys can speak Bahasa at this time. And they start talking about, like, I've learned so many things, Roblox, PUBG, all these things, because they're so excited to share just with their friends. If the students are more advanced in English, they will still speak English to their friends during the break. But if they are very low level, of course they will not. They will just sit in silence. So allowing your students to have time to just like talk to each other. I don't know what platforms your school is using. A lot of schools I know are using Zoom. And in Zoom, they have like the breakout classes, right? So you could even let people break out and like to have little conversations to allow your students to get excited to come to online classes, because I hear my students a lot of times say, I'm so bored. I don't want to just sit in front of the computer. And that's one of the struggles, right? That's one of the challenges. And then the older students, the one on top, they were learning about the court system. And so we actually had them do like a trial where somebody was the judge, there was witnesses, and having the background, I think, is always really important. In Zoom, you can have like different backgrounds and things. So even if you're talking about a certain subject, have it as like your background to just kind of make it more exciting than always having the same background every time you teach. I know there's a lot of you, but does anybody have any questions or anything? Or I'm just gonna keep going. So pros and cons of online learning. And there's a lot of them. So I've only talked more about my own experience because I know every teacher has different experiences and different issues. And so this is not everyone's, right? This is just things that I've learned myself. And later, when we talk about the cons, if you have certain questions, something that you're really struggling with, feel free to ask, because I might have, some solution, but there's so many teachers on here, right? So they might also have a solution. But I want to say the most important thing about online learning is that you keep learning. And I think a lot of my students, they tell me that they just don't like learning online. And there's a really big problem if the students stop learning, right? Sometimes they don't see the importance, but the biggest importance is that they keep seeing the importance, because if they lose their English, that's the worst part, right? So for example, I like to use the gym like when you go to the gym. Okay. So first thing is why learning language is difficult. So when you go to the gym, okay, say you want to get fit, right? You want to be in shape. And so you go to the gym 2 days a week. So my students only learn English twice a week. I know some students might learn more, some might learn less, but learning English twice a week, my students will ask me, will I become fluent? No, nobody will come fluent after just 2 times a week. Why is that? Well, think about when you go to the gym. Okay, you want to have a fit body, and you go to the gym just 2 times a week. But then after the gym, you eat ice cream, you eat burgers, you eat rice, like a lot of rice. You know, you're eating a lot. Of course, just those 2 times at the gym will not make up for everything else that you're doing. So I always try to tell my students that you need to learn how to use English every day. That is the only way that you will become comfortable and fluent in English. Because a lot of the reasons to be fluent is your confidence. You feel that you're not confident to learn English or to speak English, even though most of the students know English really, really well. And so it's right now, I even tell my students, since you're at home all day, take like little postage notes and put them around your house. Like if there's something that you don't know the word in English, put like a little note on it. So that you're kind of learning new things every day. And hopefully by the time we can all go back to offline learning, you'll know what every little thing in your house is in English because you've learned it. So I try to tell them to create a learning experience like in their house to make it feel different. And also to have your learning like space in your house. So either it could be like an English corner, like maybe if you have kids, you can tell your kids like, okay, this is the English corner. We have to speak English in it, or just like little fun ways to try to make it a part of their everyday life. Because with the language, just as in like with wanting to lose weight, okay, say if you're really fit, okay, you're fluent in English, and then you stop learning English for a month, your English will go down. And that's actually the worst kind of student because when a student's really confident in their English and then it goes away and they're not as good, they're way less confident because they feel they can never get back to the way they were. So it's actually harder to get those students to be more confident when they have actually lost some of their English. And so as teachers, we have to really try to figure out how can we make online learning exciting for them, because you might see, and myself included, offline, the students are really, really good. And now online, sometimes they don't really talk, they don't really care. And so how do we work through that? And I don't know about everyone's experience, but when I teach online, the student must put their video on. I know sometimes people will have their students not, but it's a requirement in my class because for me, it's important to make sure the student is sitting in front of the computer, that they're not running away or sleeping or laying in bed. So like the rules in my classroom, like the video has to be on. They have to sit up. They cannot be laying in bed. They can't be eating. Like there's times they can go eat. And so I try to keep the rules online very similar to the rules in the classroom. So I still have control of my classroom. So some of the pros and the cons. So the pros, although as a teacher it's very difficult, I think online learning is really important and it's a really good skill that everyone's learning, from teachers to students, because we're learning with technology. And technology is only continuing to advance, right? So some of you, you might not even learned with technology when you were younger, right? And now look how far technology is growing, that you now are teaching online. And so I think that it's really important that this kind of to try to look at the positive, this opportunity has happened where everyone has to learn how to teach and learn online, because I think it could be more like this in the future, not just because of the situation now, but as technology keeps growing, I think that there is going to be more teaching and learning online. So right now we have the opportunity to learn those skills. No fear, no judgment. So I have seen a lot of my students who were much shyer in the class be way more confident. And when I ask a student a question, I always call on the student. So I know all of my students by names, and I think that's also very important as a teacher. And so when I ask a student a question, I will mute everyone else, and that student has to answer that question. And at first it might have been like a new learning style for them, because in the classroom when you call on a student and they don't know the answer, usually one of the more advanced students will just say the answer, right? But now, because I'm able to mute everyone and allow that student to answer that question, I've seen the very shy students become more confident because they kind of have to be, right? I put them in a situation, and if I can tell they're really shy or nervous, of course I don't just sit there in silence and wait for them to answer because that's awkward for everyone. I will help them. I will help them try to get to the answer because the answer is not the important part of the question, right? The important part is that student is getting the confidence to feel that they can answer that question. So uh, so I've seen this, that actually the students have become a lot more confident because they're more targeted, right? They're more directed than in a classroom where they could sit all the way in the back and they're so far from the teacher and never answer a question in the classroom. Attendance. So they can attend from anywhere. And I think that that also, especially older students, so I teach much older students as well, university up to, I've taught a 65-year-old man, so all different ages. And with the older students, I definitely see the attendance a lot more. Sometimes my students will be at work. I mean, if they're older, like they're at work and their work ends at 4 and their classes, 4:30, they just will do it right from work. Where before maybe they didn't have enough time to get home or they didn't have any break in between. So I've actually seen the attendance more. When it comes to younger students, that still is a huge part from the parents, right? So if the parents are working, the student might not be attending class because there's no one pushing them, right? So it really, the attendance, for me, I see a positive more for higher students, and then the lower one depends more on the parent. How much are they working with us to make sure their student is learning? Because I think before, a lot of the responsibility was on teachers, right? Your students learning is mostly because of teachers, but now it's like teachers and parents have to work together because we can't get your student to sit in front of the computer, right? That is somebody, it could be a grandparent, it could be an older sibling, some like try to help us to get that student to sit and want to learn. Promotes lifelong learning. As I said before, technology just keeps growing. So if students are learning how to use technology to learn, they're more likely to continue learning. In my classes, I try to use YouTube as the skills that was mentioned earlier, like Kahoot. I try to use a lot of technology to keep the students interested, but also these are things they can do even outside the classroom, right? The students love YouTube. So trying to use, especially if you have kids, what do they like? What kind of technology do they like using? And try to use that. For example, I had middle school, they were learning about natural disasters, and they told me, I don't remember maybe roadblocks, that there was like a part that you had natural disasters and roadblocks. I'm not exactly sure, I don't play the video games. But my students were telling me, oh yeah, there's like a natural disaster part, I don't know. And so I was like, okay, your homework is to do that part for homework, like use the natural disasters. I don't know if they can switch into Bahasa Indonesia, but they were using it in English. And then they came back and they told me all about it. Like so many things that, I mean, even if it's not true, I don't know, they talked a long time in English about stuff that it seems like they actually did it. But either way, they were talking in English for maybe 15 minutes about, oh yeah, this happened and this happened. And it allowed them to kind of learn what they're learning in the classroom, but how can they be using that outside of the classroom on the things they're already using? Because most kids are normally always sitting on their phone, right? So they already have the tools. It's just how can we adapt these tools to make them want to use them? So it goes along with real world skills, where especially if the students are older, like university style, you're going to be using these in the workforce, maybe as a teacher, or maybe if you go into an office, you're getting more comfortable with the skills. As I saw earlier, people were saying they were using Google Form. And before I was a teacher, I was working on in business, and we actually used Google Forms and stuff like that back in, like, you know, a couple years ago in business. And so uh, these tools that you're using are not just something that you're going to use right now, but you could be using them in the future. So it's things that you're learning now, either students or teachers, that you can continue to in the future. And the last one, it teaches you to be self-disciplined. So a lot of it does rely on the student. And of course, this is easier when the student is older because there's more of a desire to learn. When I'm teaching 3-year-olds, they don't really care what they're learning as long as they're having fun. So it definitely has to be adjusted depending on the age. And like I said, I know so many of you teach so many different levels, so many different class sizes, using different platforms. So there's so many different pros and cons with each and every one of you. And so overall, the pro is they're learning. And I think that's something that we just have to keep working through, and knowing that every day as a teacher, you're getting better. And if you're a student, every day, you're learning more skills to be able to learn online. And when I started teaching online back in March, and I look at my PowerPoints that I was teaching, I was like, oh my goodness, that was not very good. And so I'm learning, and we're all right now students, right? We're all students on how to learn how to teach online, and nobody's doing it perfect. No one's doing it horrible. We're just all doing it the way we can. We're just learning and trying with the resources we have. So I'm proud of every single one of you, and feel that you're not alone, even though you might be in your room or in your house or in your office all by yourself. We are all in this together, and we all have different skills and knowledge that we have been using that we can help each other. So just I will talk about some of the cons. Lack of social interaction. As for all of us, we miss seeing our coworkers. Of course, we miss seeing our students, and our students missing everyone. That's a huge downfall, is the cons. And so, as I said before, if you try to let the beginning of your class, like let students kind of talk about things, or if you have a break and you can kind of separate them like into little like break offs, or because as you can see later, unable to have conversations is also a struggle. So they kind of go hand in hand. The lack of interaction and wanting them to be able to speak more, just conversations to feel like they are together. But then it's difficult because when one student talks, if someone else talks, everyone's talking over each other, right? So you can't hear each other. So if you have a big classroom, it might be easier if there's like a certain topic that you give them, and it could be really interesting to them. Something that you like, but then also something the students like, and just have the students, like for example, like a question you could ask them is, like, what's the most exciting thing you did today? I mean, that one's very simple, but or like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? Like, I don't know. You could think of so many like questions, and then so for example, if we said the weirdest thing ever that you've ever eaten, like, okay, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? Okay, they answer. Okay, now you pick a friend, and they pick a friend. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? Like, so if the conversations are funny, or kind of interesting, then I think the students are more likely to find it kind of like a way to just talk to each other than, oh, we have to answer like all these certain questions. So try to put more breakouts, like funny questions, or hangmans, or find something in your house, or just things like that to try to help the students to kind of take a break from just sitting and learning. Easier to procrastinate. So students, if they have to do work, normally as teachers, we could make sure they're doing the work in class, and now we can't, right? They have to either email it to us or they do it in class, but we can't see what they're writing. So even the student could be sitting here being like, yeah, I'm writing, and I don't even have paper in front of me right now. So we don't know what they're doing, and it procrastinates them to actually do their work, which is a really bad skill to develop, right? Procrastinating, it could be in any skill, right? Procrastinating to clean your house. Procrastinating is not a good skill to develop. And so when students are learning more to procrastinate, it is the opposite of the pro, which is self-discipline. So as every student is different, some students might advance in this to help themselves become stronger and a better learner, but then the other students might be more of a procrastinator, which will then decrease their learning. So the struggle is every class has maybe 40 students, and every student has their own way of learning and their own struggle and their own pro and their own cons. And as teachers, we have to figure out how do we balance that. And must be an active learner. So there's different learning styles, right? Like there's audio, there's video, visual, there's kinesthetic. And so the students, a lot of the times online can be more audio. Sometimes you might have PowerPoints and stuff, so there is visual. But you have to be very active sitting here, right? Because sometimes you know people talking outside or things going on, or maybe your brother or sister's crying. There's so many distractions around us when learning online because nobody else is learning, right? It's just us. So no one else knows to be quiet or don't bother us. And so active learning is a really big struggle for students. So I always make sure my students have headphones. They have to have headphones in the classroom. And because it makes them focus on who's talking, and it kind of stops the background noises. So as this is happening, where more students are going to be learning online, of course, you can't make students do anything, right? Especially to buy a headset could be a lot of money. But if there's a way to ask them if there's anyone in their house that has headphones, to try to use headphones to keep them to be more active. Nobody holding you accountable, right? So no one's holding. I know I have just a couple more minutes and then we getting into the questions, so I will go faster. No one's holding them accountable, or no one's holding you accountable, right? And so that's also a big issue, is that everyone is kind of relying on themselves to do this, and it's a big problem if the student is not motivated. And it's something that we have to work through as teachers. And so I would love to know more of your struggles and cons about what's going on with you. And last, technology issues. As we all experience, I experience it at least once a week, twice a week. My Wi-Fi is down, or my Wi-Fi is not working, or it's just slow. And then not just me, but all of my students. I mean, there's so many times in my class, it's just all the students like, "Can you hear me, miss? Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, you can hear me? Okay, I can hear you. Oh, okay, you can hear me? Okay, I can hear you." And that's like 3 minutes of the class. So it is what it is. And I think that it's just something, when I first started teaching online, I would get really nervous. Like, oh my gosh, my technology is down. Like, what do I do? And then I just kind of like, okay, this is what the situation is. I just try to work through with what I can. So you're never going to be able to control technology, especially in Kupang. The electricity is very unstable. So sometimes electricity will just go out for hours, and then I have to hurry up and hotspot from my phone. And sometimes that's not very good. And so technology will always be an issue, and it's just something that we kind of have to know it's there, but that shouldn't stop us from trying to learn online or try to teach online. And unable to have conversations, as I kind of mentioned before, and as we all see, when one person talks, everybody talks, or everybody can't hear you, right? So one person has to be quiet, or everyone has to be quiet, and one person talks for us all to hear. And that's like a really big issue when it comes to teaching students how to have conversations, right? Because a huge part of English is teaching confidence, right? How to use English in everyday conversation. And because they can't really have that conversation as much, it makes it a lot more difficult. Okay, so my time is up. So I'm going to ask you if you have any questions, but I know that this is discussion. So all of the teachers, I think, can ask any questions or ask any of the presenters. So I can give it back and stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Melissa. That's very informative, yeah? We teachers also have the same experience related to online teaching, yeah? Yeah, I believe that some of, maybe many of the teachers who are present today have the same experience, especially for the cons. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
Thank you, very
it's
informative. Yeah.
you're welcome.
Okay, now we go on to our discussion session. For discussion session, please, everyone, the participant, open the video so the committee will take photos of you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now we would like the presenters to answer some questions asked by the participant today. Yeah, we have some questions for Pak Muklisin, yeah, and Bu Risa. Yeah. First from Pak Imam Wahyudi. Pak Imam, are you present? Are you there? Pak Imam? Are you still online, Pak Imam Wahyudi? Ya, maybe I will read the question ya, Pak Muklisin ya. Oke, Pak Muklisin. Do you hear me?
Yes, halo.
Okay. Yeah, I will read question from Pak Imam.
Yes.
Okay. Untuk background, apa harus warna hijau? Seandainya background warna merah, bisa atau tidak, Pak? That's from Pak Imam Wahyudi. Maybe you can answer the question.
Halo, bisa Bu.
Yes.
Warna apapun bisa, yang penting satu warna. Ya.
Jadi bisa warna apa saja ya?
Ya, bisa warna saja, bahkan warna tembok pun bisa.
Oh ya, oke. So any colors ya?
Ya, one color only.
Oke, jadi warna tidak masalah, yang penting satu warna ya.
Ya, betul.
Oh ya. Selanjutnya pertanyaan berikutnya untuk masih buat Pak Muklisin ya. Ini pertanyaan dari Tri Lupalupi. Ya. Bahan mentah kita salah satunya adalah PPT yang divideokan. Dan di dalam video PPT tersebut kita masukkan juga video pendek. Ternyata video pendek di dalam PPT yang divideokan tersebut tidak muncul suaranya. Apa yang salah ya? PPT tersebut dijadikan video dengan rekaman pastung. Terima kasih. Itu dari Bu Tri Lupalupi. Silakan.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Walfi. Untuk video ini jadikan sendiri-sendiri saja. Jadi PPT sendiri pokoknya nanti kan bisa digabung-gabung. Jadi videonya jangan digabung di PowerPoint. Jadi silakan video sendiri-sendiri, kemudian PowerPoint sendiri nanti bisa diedit. Seperti itu biar nanti suaranya bisa bagus. Untuk materi sendiri tidak harus PowerPoint. Bisa juga Prezi, foto dan sebagainya. Yang penting itu pemaparan dari guru. Seperti itu, Ibu. Jadi disendiri-sendirikan, nanti ngeditnya mudah.
Ya, itu jawaban dari Pak Muklisin. Pertanyaan selanjutnya untuk Pak Muklisin dari Korozi ya, dari Pak Korozi. Pertanyaannya adalah how to create interesting thumbnail and what kind of application can we use?
Untuk thumbnailnya saya biasanya pakai KineMaster itu di capture. Di situ kan ada gambar di capture terus ditambahi saja cukup, atau nanti kalau perlu ada gambar orangnya untuk di thumbnailnya bisa backgroundnya dihilangkan pakai background eraser. Jadi nanti tetap ngeditnya di KineMaster. Jadi KineMaster itu bisa untuk semuanya dan nanti bisa ditaruh ketika ngedit di YouTube Studio. Jadi nanti bisa dipakai di situ, tinggal diupload. Begitu Ibu, pakai KineMaster aja cukup.
Ya, jadi cukup ya pakai KineMaster aja ya.
Ya, di capture nanti di KineMaster ada fitur capture.
Iya. Terima kasih Pak Muklisin.
Ya.
Selanjutnya pertanyaan untuk Bu Risa. Ya, pertanyaan untuk Bu Risa dari Tri Lupalupi. Ya.
Ya.
Pertanyaannya adalah, can we use the quiz interactively although we only use WhatsApp or Telegram?
Ya, baik. Terima kasih untuk pertanyaannya. Jadi, karena kuisis ini sifatnya sangat fleksibel, siswa bisa mengerjakan melalui aplikasi yang di-download dari Play Store. Nah, atau bisa dari web browser yang ada di handphone. Jadi, mereka tinggal mengklik link yang kita share di WhatsApp atau di Telegram atau di Google Classroom. Jadi melalui itu mereka tinggal klik kemudian memasukkan quiz ID. Nah, jadi karena dikerjakan di browser meskipun tidak mempunyai aplikasi juga bisa. Nah, mungkin itu jawaban saya, Bu.
Ya, pertanyaan berikutnya untuk Bu Risa dari Bapak Marcelus Yumelking. Ya, pertanyaannya adalah, can we use quiz to construct essay test? Please let me know how to design it. Thanks.
Oke, jadi tadi di quizzes ada 5 macam pertanyaan yang bisa kita buat. Multiple choice, fill in the blank, open-ended, ya, checkbox, and poll. Nah, untuk yang essay kita bisa menggunakan yang open-ended, Pak. Jadi untuk pertanyaan essay, tinggal copy paste dari pertanyaan yang sudah kita buat di Word, atau mungkin reading text, atau pertanyaan yang jumlah hurufnya lumayan banyak. Kita menggunakan open-ended, tinggal diklik saja, kemudian set di situ. Nah, tapi jawaban harus kita sendiri yang memvalidasi. Jadi aplikasi tidak bisa menentukan betul atau salah, tidak bisa memberikan skor. Nah, jadi kita sendiri nanti yang harus mengoreksi. Nanti di report dia akan berwarna biru, bukan betul atau salah. Nah, mungkin untuk caranya secara langsung bisa join di grup Telegram ya. Mohon yang di YouTube atau yang di Zoom semuanya sudah join di Telegram karena materi dan lain-lain akan di-share di Telegram. Terima kasih.
Ya. Ada satu pertanyaan buat Pak Muklisin ini sepertinya ya. Dari Bapak Eko Hari Pratono Adi. Pertanyaannya, teknologi apa yang sederhana yang layak digunakan dalam pembelajaran daring dengan siswa yang medianya terbatas ya? Siswa terbatas dalam menggunakan media gawai. Mungkin Pak Muklisin bisa menjawab pertanyaan ini. Keterbatasan.
Halo, Ibu, ya.
Pertanyaan sekali lagi ya. Teknologi apa yang sederhana yang layak digunakan dalam pembelajaran daring dengan siswa yang terbatas media gawainya? Oke,
Bapak Ibu, terima kasih. Menurut saya, media yang paling bagus itu media yang tidak. Ya tadi itu seperti yang saya jelaskan tadi untuk adalah video. Kenapa kok video? Karena bisa memvisualkan sesuatu yang besar dan yang membesarkan sesuatu yang kecil, mengkonkretkan sesuatu yang abstrak, dan juga siswa bisa menyetel ulang penjelasan-penjelasan. Jadi menurut saya video itulah yang paling bagus dan nanti videonya bisa diteruskan dengan materi seperti kuis, tadi quizzes yang dipaparkan dengan Ibu Risa. Jadi nanti bisa diintegrasikan kemana-mana pakai media. Nah, tergantung videonya itu, kalau videonya menarik saya yakin siswa-siswa akan senang. Seperti itu Ibu. Menurut saya video.
Video ya, sesuai dengan topik Pak Muklisin hari ini ya.
Betul sekali.
Terima kasih Pak Muklisin.
Ya.
Apakah ada pertanyaan untuk Melisa? Ya.
Ya.
Ya, saya coba cek ya, ada pertanyaan untuk
Saya tambahi lagi, Bu, nggih.
Ya, monggo.
Untuk background-nya itu tadi ada saya lihat di chat. Untuk background jangan warna hitam atau putih karena warna dasar. Harus selain warna hitam dan putih. Seperti itu. Jadi nanti bisa diganti background-nya menjadi background video yang atraktif.
Ya, jangan warna hitam ya.
Oke, jangan warna hitam.
Ya, ini ada yang raise hand ya, Bapak Abdul Malik Hakuddin. Ya, silakan Pak di unmute dan silakan bertanya. Abdul Malik, silakan di unmute dan berikan pertanyaan kepada siapa. Pak Abdul Malik, are you online? Pak Abdul Malik? Pak Abdul Malik? No?
Ibu,
No
saya
respon?
boleh tambah lagi, nggih?
Ya, monggo ya.
Untuk nanti ketika workshop di akhir nanti akan ada pengumpulan video. Dan nanti saya harap nanti ketika video sudah diupload di YouTube dan di-share linknya, peserta yang lainnya itu saling share, like, comment, dan juga subscribe. Jadi nanti saling mendukung. Jadi semuanya nanti ketika sudah upload akan di-like, comment, kemudian di-subscribe. Terus ada lagi saling begitu. Jadi semuanya nanti saling mensupport.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, maybe the question for Melissa from me ya. For Melissa from me. Melissa?
Yeah.
Online. Okay. Yeah. In Con's part, you mentioned about that the student must be an active learner. Is it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I find that some students are very passive and only few students are active during online teaching. How can we encourage them to be more active in our online teaching?
Yeah. How many students do you normally teach at a time?
Yeah, about 20 to 22.
Yeah, about 20 to 22. And then when you teach them, do they have their video or no?
Yeah, sometimes we share PowerPoint
Mm-hmm.
or through chat.
Okay, yeah. And can you see them or no?
We cannot see, but in Zoom, yeah, usually we use Zoom. Yeah, only few students come, and the other do not come because of the signal or other reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can give your students like an incentive?
Oh yeah.
For example, maybe if they participate this many times, they can have like a 5% increase on their test or some kind of incentive to help them for the students who are active and who are really good to realize they get a benefit as well.
Oh, they will get some credit, yeah?
Yeah, some kind of credit
Okay.
to try to motivate the students, because when you can't use the video, it's difficult. How do you make them participate, right? And so if there's some kind of incentive, maybe to see what would benefit your students the most, and maybe you try different things. Maybe one day you try one thing and the students don't care, because it's gonna happen, right? You're going to see, you're gonna try something and be like, okay, that didn't work. So then you'll try something else and you'll try something else. But I would try to give the students some kind of incentive or something that will help them be more interested.
Okay, thank you. There is a question from Agus, I think. Yeah. Beside Kahoot and YouTube, do you use any application? Any other application?
I also have used Bamboozle. If you've ever heard of Bamboozle, it's also it's kind of similar. You find like quizzes or things like that, but it's more of like a game setting. And my students seem to really like that. But besides that, No, right now I just I will watch YouTube videos. If you ever need ideas, I will Google on YouTube ways to make your class more exciting, and I would write it in English because there's a lot of resources if you write it in English of videos of teachers who will tell you different applications. And so my new goal is every week I find one new application. So I just tried Bamboozle and I use it in all my classes for 1 week, like as like an extra, and then I try to find something else the next week because if the classes are always the same every week, the students will be bored. So I would just encourage right now because even in the US, teachers are learning how to teach online, right? So there's a lot of resources out there, but I would look when you type in Google, type in English because if you type in Bahasa, I think your resources will be way less because it's going to be Indonesians also writing their experiences, which is good. But if you want to try to find more examples, try to do your search in English.
Okay, very nice suggestion, Melissa. Thank you. Yeah. Is there anything else to ask from the participants? Yeah, because the time is almost running. Okay, I would like to inform you that for workshop, we will have workshop on Monday tomorrow and on Tuesday. Yeah, on Monday with Bu Risa, yeah? And on Tuesday with Pak Muklisin. Yeah. Please, you link on Telegram, yeah, for this workshop. Yeah, for this workshop, you have to link on Telegram. Yeah.
Video jangan lupa. Video. Semua video dinyalakan.
Okay, please, all participants open your video, yeah, so we can record you.
Screenshot.
We'll see screenshot you, yeah. Please, for those who still close the video, open the video. Yeah, the link for survey is shared on Zoom and YouTube. Yeah, please click so you can fill in the survey. Yeah, that's the proof of your presence on this webinar. Maybe Bu Risa want to tell something?
Ya, thank you Bu Christine. Ya, saya berharap sekali semua akan join di Telegram group. Jadi kita setelah ini tidak putus hubungan ya. Jadi bisa join ke Telegram group. Nah, di sana nanti akan di-share materi dan juga bisa sharing diskusi dengan saya dan juga Cak Sin. Nah, juga akan ada hasil dari workshop ini yaitu mungkin membuat kuis yang nanti akan di-share ke Telegram dan juga video. Nah, nanti di Telegram saya juga akan share kuis. Nah, nanti yang tercepat akan mendapatkan bonus.
Ya.
Nah, itu. Tapi saya akan share di Telegram saja. Silakan untuk join ke Telegram group yang sudah saya share di YouTube channel dan juga di Zoom ini. Terima kasih.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for 3 presenters, Pak Muklisin, Bu Risa, and Melissa. Yeah. Your presentations are very useful for us and very informative for us as teachers so that our students will enjoy learning English and we can teach them happily, joyfully. Both of us, the teachers and the students, are happy, and enjoy the lessons. Okay, thank you for participants who were present today.
Thank you.
I hope this webinar will inspire you to become more creative teachers. So all the students learn English better and enjoy learning English. Okay, see you on our next webinar.
See you.
Good day.
Thank you. See you.
Jangan dulu Pak. Kasih waktu.